If we look at this graphic, this is Ken Clark's two-mass model, all right? So if we look at this, the elite sprinter in comparison to the sub-elite as well as the athlete non-sprinter, we see that the elite sprinter has a different graph as it's going, okay? So if we look at the solid black line, we see that there's an initial spike, and then it drops down, and then it kind of levels off, and then it goes back down. So what this is that initial spike is strike down, okay? Or whenever the foot strikes the ground at max velocity. Then from there, the little bit of a dip is that energy transferring up the chain, and then that level off is the rest of the body reapplying force, okay? So how I like to look at this is a reapplication and a redirection of force. You have that initial strike, which is a little bit more of a pull, and then it turns into a push. That's whenever the knee gets a little bit behind the butt with limiting backside mechanics at max velocity. And then it's the redirection, or more of a push propelling you forward. There's a difference between the levels. If we look at Johnny's force time curve, we see that we got a spike, then a dip, and then a re-spike, okay? And so what I want you to do is I want you to kind of pay attention to his strategy as he's jumping, all right? So let's just go ahead and get back to the top right here. Whenever he goes, he hinges, and then if you notice, he has his knees come forward as his body is starting to go into the propulsive phase, or it's about to take off, right? What that is that's his center of mass reorienting, and his body is reapplying force, right? And so it's a redirection right here. Bam, you see that? The knees shift forward, his upper body kind of goes up just a little bit, and then he takes off. All right, so again, that's a redirection and a reapplication of force. It's kind of like what I was just talking about with Ken Clark's two-mass model. That same thing happens to a good amount of jumping strategies also. Here's a closer look to that force time curve. If we see, right, to me, it's a lot more about impulse than it is anything else. So how fast are they creating that force? With his initial strategy, with that dip and everything, it doesn't really tell us the full story. And if you notice, the time that it takes to go ahead and reorient and create that force is something that's actually going to slow him down in the long run. So we need to try to figure out a strategy that eliminates that. And for me, whenever it comes to standardizing the jump, that's where the quick dip comes into play. That's why I've standard for the quick dip. It eliminates all of that. If you notice, he still shifts a little bit, but it happens more in the unweighted phase. So that way, whenever we get to the propulsive or the takeoff phase, it's more of a smooth understanding of what's actually going on, and I can go ahead and read what that force time curve is trying to tell me. I go ahead and match the force time curve with the variables or just the numbers down below also, so that way it gives me a complete picture, not just one end or the other, okay? We want to think about all the different variables going into it, not just one. All right, again, that force time curve definitely tells us a good picture, but the full picture or the full puzzle is all of the different metrics.